Let's talk about the eating habits of those of us with ADHD and autism. I would like to give a trigger warning to people who may experience eating disorders. It is up to you whether you continue to watch, but obviously we are going to be talking about food and eating habits. I'm going to be talking from my own personal experience and the experience of people I know and things that I've heard. My way of eating has always been, when I was younger, I went vegetarian at the age of 4. So for ethical reasons, I chose, it was my decision, and I was the first vegetarian in my family. It wasn't because of texture, it was literally because I didn't want to eat animals. So that was my choice. At the time, my parents did try and kind of, when I say not physically force me to eat meat, but they would still try and get me to eat meat all the time, and I didn't want to. And I was very, very set, like I was stubborn about that. I wasn't backing down, so I didn't eat meat. The way I used to eat on my plate, so for example, if I had a roast dinner, obviously without the meat, I would save the best till last. So my roasties were always my favourite, so I would save them till last. So I would eat my vegetables first, or the things I didn't really want to eat, I'd try and get them out the way, and I would eat things separately, like one thing at a time, and I'd go in order of my favourites. So it would be like, at the time, I never used to like broccoli. I do like broccoli now, so I would probably eat my broccoli first to get out of the way, and maybe my carrots, and then, you know, depending on what I had on my plate. But I always remember my last 2 were Yorkshire puddings and then roasties last, because they were my absolute favourite. So I always ate in that order, and that was kind of growing up, probably throughout my teenage years as well. I always ate like things were still on the plate together, but I ate them separately in order of getting the ones I liked the least out the way first and saving the best till last. So when I was a teenager, I was like a proper junk food vegetarian, and it wasn't that I disliked vegetables. I ate certain vegetables, or I kind of tolerated certain vegetables. There were some I kind of liked, and then there was some that I thought that I hated. But I wouldn't say that I had an eating disorder, but I did have disordered eating, to the point where I was very much all or nothing. At the time, I had, I've grown up with body dysmorphia, undiagnosed ADHD, potentially undiagnosed autism. At the time, I was either on a diet or I was off a diet. When I was on a diet, I was really strict. And if I ate even one thing that I considered to be bad, I would then think, right, I've ruined it, and then I'd go and eat loads. So say, for example, I ate a biscuit while I was supposed to be eating healthy. I'd think, right, I've ruined it, and then I'd go and get a chippy, or I'd eat a pizza, or eat loads of crisps and chocolate, and I would kind of like binge. And then I think I'll start again on Monday. It was never the next day, it was always, I'll start again on Monday. So I kind of lived like that throughout my older teenage years, into early adulthood even. And by the time I got into early adulthood, I was more like, I'd tasted more vegetables, and I kind of like for example, I didn't taste peppers until, as in bell peppers, until I was in my early 20s. And when I think about it, to me now, that feels crazy because I love them now. But all those years I thought I didn't like them, but I did not taste them till my early 20s. Same with mushrooms. I used to, as a child and as a teenager, I used to think, I'm never going to eat mushrooms. They reminded me of slugs. And I didn't taste mushrooms until I was probably mid-20s. And now I love them. Same with onions. Onions was early 20s as well. And again, these are all vegetables that I love now. Now, I've noticed I've got a very particular way of eating. I just want to point out, I'm vegan. I've been vegan for 7 years now. So I was vegetarian for 30 years before that, and then I've been vegan 7 years, and I'm vegan for the animals. And as a result of being vegan, when I say I'm a lot less fussy with food, I'll pretty much eat anything that's vegan, so anything that's not animal based, and also not, I have got a wheat intolerance, so I can't eat anything with wheat in it. So if it's not, if it's got no animal products and no wheat in it, I'll eat it. So like, I'll eat almost any vegetable, I think, or any fruit, or, you know, things like that. As long as it's not going to make me feel ill, like something I'm intolerant to, or it's not a product of animals, that's fine. So I'm less fussy now as a vegan. I feel comfortable. It's almost like I feel like all of my personal morals line up with what I'm eating, and this is not, you know, this is no judgment on anyone else's way of eating. This is just, for me, I needed to be vegan. Like it's like when I went vegan, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, because it felt like my lifestyle was kind of lining up with my own personal morals. So for me, I felt like that needed to happen for me. It was kind of a long time coming, after like years of being vegetarian anyway. And again, please, no judgment. Like, there's people I love, family members who eat meat, and I'm not judging anyone. This is just my choice, my morals, my own personal thing. So yeah, I'm vegan. And when I eat now, I've noticed that I have a certain discomfort around eating. And it's like, I find it hard to speak. When, you know, like if we sit down with a meal at the table, it's like, I don't feel comfortable. I will speak like in between eating slightly, but I feel more comfortable speaking at the end of a meal, because it's almost like, I don't know, it feels like some kind of survival instinct where I need to just make sure I get me food in me, the nutrients in me, and then I can speak. And it's not, and I certainly don't eat fast. I actually am a slow eater, and I'm like always the last one to finish eating. And another reason for this, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but now, considering when I was younger, I used to eat everything separately and save the best till last. Now, I have to have a little bit, whatever's on my plate, I have to have a little bit of everything on my fork. So it takes me ages to, like, whereas like my husband, if we're having a roast, like obviously a vegan roast, he'd happily eat like a bit of potato with a bit of carrots and put that in his mouth, and then have the next one, have like the vegan, like, you know, vegan chicken or whatever vegan meat alternative, and like some stuffing. Whereas I have to have a bit of potato, bit of carrots, bit of broccoli, bit of vegan chicken, bit of stuffing, bit of like peas, you know, whatever's on my plate, I have to have a little bit of everything and then eat it. So I think that's what makes me take ages to eat, because it feels uncomfortable if I don't do that. I am aware that that's probably not a neurotypical way of eating, and maybe I'm overthinking it a lot, but that's just what kind of feels right for me. So here's something I need to talk about with food, with being like, I'm diagnosed ADHD, I'm awaiting an autism assessment, and I've heard other people with ADHD and autism also experience this, but I go through phases where I forget what to eat, and to me it's like I have some phases where I'm like, I enjoy cooking. I don't always enjoy cooking. When I'm feeling creative, I love cooking, and I'll make up recipes. I don't like following recipes out of books. That just feels like following rules, and I find it stressful. I like to make my own stuff up. I know what tastes good together, so I'll throw different spices into things, and it always ends up tasting nice. And when I'm feeling creative, I can do that easily, and it just comes to me naturally, and I'll just go and whip something up in the kitchen and it'll taste amazing. So that's one type of phase that I have, and that will probably last me, like, I'll be creative for a week and try different foods and think of all like new recipes that I've never thought of before. And then the rest of the time, I'm like, my mind is like, I can't remember what we ate last week. I can't remember what I ate yesterday. And I get into the habit of getting stuck with certain meals that I love. So for example, every single day for probably the last year, not every single day, there's been the odd day where it's not been like this, but I have this protein shake that I make. It's all like, I'm very into like natural ingredients and stuff, and I make it with like organic pea protein powder, soy milk, cacao powder, maple syrup, walnuts, cashew nuts, salt. Up until recently I had peanut butter in as well, but I'm starting to I feel like I kind of react a little bit to peanuts, so I'm just giving them a bit of a break to see how I feel without them. And I make that and I love it. It tastes amazing, and it's like now I'm stuck. And when I say I'm stuck, I'm almost like happy to be stuck with it because I love it. But that's what I have every day for my breakfast. And my breakfast isn't necessarily early because, I'm going off topic a bit, but I have that every day, and it's like, I feel like my body craves it every day, and I don't know whether it's craving it because it like needs the ingredients or the nutrients that are in that, or whether I'm just like so stuck in this habit that that's all I know to have. So that's one thing that happens to me. I get stuck with, if there's a certain meal that I've had for numerous times, I kind of get stuck making that meal or that thing. And as a result of that, because this protein shake kind of keeps me full for nearly all day. So then when it comes to, so I tend to eat my breakfast and tea. I don't usually have dinner, I call it breakfast, dinner, tea. Some people call it breakfast, lunch, dinner. I don't tend to have lunch because I'm still full from my protein shake usually. And I'm kind of like, then when it comes to tea time or dinner time, I forget, I can't think of what to make. So obviously I always make something with vegetables, but then I'm like, what did we have for tea last week? I can't remember. What did we have? I've made loads of nice meals in the past and I can't remember what they are. It's like my brain just forgets. If I haven't made it like today or very recently, or even sometimes if I have made it recently, I can't remember what it is. So I kind of then get that decision paralysis and I'm like, I don't know what to have, and it makes it really stressful. So like meal times for me, or not meal times in particular, but when I'm trying to think of what to make, it makes it really stressful. So side note as well, my youngest daughter is autistic and she has, I'm almost 99.9% sure got ADHD as well, but she's not been assessed for ADHD, but I can tell that she has. She's very similar to me, but with regards to her autism and her eating, so over the years, she and my oldest daughter has done this as well, but it's more obvious in my youngest daughter. My youngest daughter does it more often. There'll be certain foods that they've eaten, and they've eaten them for years and years, and then overnight, don't like that. The next day they'll be like, don't like that anymore. So it happened with peas with both of them. They both used to love eating peas. And then it's like they wake up the next day, and when I come to make them peas, another time like, I don't like peas. I'm like, you ate them yesterday or you ate them a few days ago, and they don't like it because of the texture. My youngest daughter, her absolute favourite meal is she loves roasts, vegan roasts. Like roasties are obviously like the best potatoes, but a second favourite meal is mashed potato with broccoli and and a vegan meat alternative with gravy, and obviously the gravy's vegan. She loves that meal so much that she will happily eat it every night, and I try not to, I try and mix it up, but sometimes even other meals that she does like, she will choose not to have them because she wants the same meal again. And in my head I'm thinking, I want her to be eating different things, which I do get her to eat different things, but in the end, I'll quite often settle back, you know, all right, she can have that meal, because I know that she's eating broccoli at least. She's getting some protein. She's getting like a good mix of, you know, carbs, protein, nutrients, vegetables kind of thing. But recently, although she's quite rigid in what she eats, she will only eat, there's certain food she'll eat at home, she'll eat more fruit and veg at home than she will in public places or at her friends or at school. So for example, she'll eat broccoli at home and she'll occasionally eat broccoli at her best friend's house, but she will not eat broccoli anywhere else. She wouldn't eat it in school, she wouldn't eat it in a restaurant, she wouldn't eat it anywhere else. There's certain veg she will eat at home. Like she will eat cucumber at home and tomatoes occasionally at home, and she'll eat carrots at home, and a few other different veg that she will not eat anywhere else. So there's that kind of like, it's almost like when she's out in public, she does feel safer with the like beige food, which is quite commonly, you know, I know of a lot of people who are on the spectrum who prefer the beige type food, like potato-y type things. And so for her, when she's in school, even if I made her a packed lunch that had like cucumber and hummus and some crisps and some this and whatever, she would literally quite often only eat the crisps and some other things. Now she's started having like, she'll have some hot food at school, but usually she'll only eat potato wedges and she wouldn't eat anything else. So the amount of times I've had school, both in primary school and high school, you know, is she eating enough? And I'm like, she eats a lot. She eats a lot at home. It's just what she feels safe to eat when she's in school. Or if she's at a friend's house, she will eat loads there. But again, it's where she feels the most safe. She also feels the most safe to like be more adventurous with her food, if that makes sense. So, but I'm really pleased because recently she's actually been asking to try certain things. Like I remember once she was like, can I try guacamole? And I was like, yeah, of course you can. So I got some guacamole. She's like, I've made her some guacamole with fresh avocado and things like that. She wasn't a fan of it, but she tried it. She's recently tried vegan sushi. Like cucumber, I'm not really into sushi, so I don't know what the roll, like a cucumber roll with the nori wrapped around it, and she loves it. And I'm so happy because I know that obviously getting a bit of seaweed into a diet is good. Like it's a source of iodine, it's good for you and stuff. So I've now bought the thing, like I've bought nori sheets and sushi rice and things so we can make it at home as well. So I'm really glad. So when she feels safe, she will choose to try new things, but she's still got a very kind of rigid way of eating. I know that through other people in my life who are autistic, I know that there can be like phobias associated with food and real like make certain foods that can make people feel really uncomfortable. I'm well aware of that. Like I personally, when it comes to things that I don't have any phobias with food, apart from like I wouldn't get obviously meat, things like that. Wouldn't even touch, like even when I used to be vegetarian and my husband ate meat, like I would never touch the meat. I would only ever like this is going to be funny, but I used to put bags on my hands and then use 2 forks to pick the meat up. So but yeah, anyway, that's another story. I wouldn't ever touch it. I don't like, now we don't have it in the house or anything, like because none of us eat meat, so it's like we don't need it in the house. But like when it comes to textures, my only issues with textures are, I love avocados, but sometimes you can get stringy bits. Depending on how ripe the avocado is, you can get the stringy bits in it. When the avocado's got stringy bits, that makes me feel really uncomfortable. Same with bananas for the same reason. I don't love bananas. I like the taste of them, but I don't like the texture of them, and sometimes they have stringy bits. Not to put anyone off, but that's just my own personal thing with textures. Other than that, food wise, as long as it's vegan and it's not got wheat in, then I'll eat it. Also, as long as it's not got like artificial chemicals in, because I'm very much like, I try and stick to things that are as natural as possible. That's another like kind of side note of a special interest of mine, is like natural health and things like that. So yeah, so I just wanted to talk about eating habits of people with ADHD and autism. And I know that for a lot of, for example, people with ADHD, there is that decision fatigue quite often, that feeling of overwhelm where you think, I haven't got the energy to chop veg. So that can be me quite often, where I'm like, I feel so overwhelmed in my head, and the thought of standing there chopping an onion and chopping a pepper and this. So when I haven't got any at the moment, because I always forget, I often forget to order them, but it's good I try and eat fresh veg whenever possible, but I always like to have like a bag of frozen peppers and a bag of frozen onions in the freezer, just so it never tastes quite as nice as the fresh ones, but just so it's there. So if I'm really not got the mental capacity to stand there chopping veg, I can just whip something up quickly that is gonna be healthy as well. So yeah, so I know there's a lot of kind of, depending on how overwhelmed you're feeling, or like sometimes you just need easy stuff. So I will be doing more videos actually about some easy, like healthy, nutritious meals that I cook as someone with ADHD. I'll do that in a separate video though. But what kind of food I don't want to say issues, but what kind of habits do you have with your eating? And do you have ADHD or autism or another like neurodivergency? And how does it affect your life? Because I'd love to know that. If you comment below, and that could be something that I feel like it's important to talk about, all these things. So thank you so much for watching. If you find value in this video, please like and subscribe. Bye.